Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so here we are for another week of fantastic questions. We've got some questions to jump to in just a moment, which we will be doing. But before we do, did you know you can be part of the good fight to get more people into Kendo, spread Kendo and the love for Kendo around the world? We've already started at least like 1,574 people probably just from comments from this video. All you have to do is write a comment down below. What an amazing Kendo video. Use the word Kendo and write something positive. And someone on the periphery of starting Kendo, they're about to start Kendo, they're thinking, oh, I'd like something new to do with my time. I'm really interested in sort of samurai culture or swords or Star Wars or whatever, something like that. Let's have a look on YouTube, and then all of a sudden one of these videos gets suggested to them because you put a comment down there and they start Kendo and you've helped grow the Kendo population. That's how the YouTube algorithm works. Okay, pretty much, I'm sure of it. It's probably true. We've at least started 1,578 people probably from that, probably more, and we could probably get over 2,000 if you do that as well. So go ahead and do that now, okay? But it's not just leaving a comment. You need to like, share, subscribe, all of the YouTube magic, and then we can just make sure that there are more and more people doing Kendo around the world thanks to you. So let's do that. Now, we'll get to these questions, but before I do, you know what's coming next. Shop at KendoStar.com. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not mess around. Let's not dance around the subject. And shop at KendoStar.com. You know it's the right thing to do. You know it is. All right? You get the best Kendo equipment in the world, in the galaxy, in the universe, in the history of the human race at KendoStar.com, and it comes with the best service to match. Don't buy twice. You're gonna buy you're gonna buy at KendoStar anyway. If you buy somewhere else, you're gonna be like, oh, this is rubbish, I need to buy a new one, and you're gonna go and buy it from KendoStar in the end. All right? Now, all that stuff, of course I would say it because I own the place. Of course I'd say that, but everyone agrees. You can read our reviews. You can see how much everybody else thinks we're the best ever in the history of the world and universe and everything else that's ever existed. KendoStar.com. Go and shop there. All right, okay, cool. Let's get the questions now. I love Fridays. Everybody got Kendo this weekend? I have. Kendo every weekend. Every day if I can. Yeah. Right. Tell us about your Kyudo experience. Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned this. I knew this was coming. I mentioned it in passing last week, didn't I? That I had a go at Kyudo. And I didn't want to talk about it. Alright, story time. So, several years ago now, I was invited to a seminar at the International Budo University. It was a seminar of, I think it's called Budo Culture, or an exchange, something like that. International seminar. So it's when I lived in Kumamoto. I had to travel all the way from Kumamoto to Katsura in Chiba. That's a journey, I'll tell you that. That is a journey. The easiest part is getting to Tokyo. Anyway, then I went there, and essentially what the whole format of the seminar is, really interesting seminar actually. I learned a lot there on various fronts. I had a great time. I met a load of great people. Now, essentially, there's a collection of people there who represent different Budo, okay? Kendo, obviously, that's what I was there for. Naginata, Kyudo, Judo, Shorinji Kempo was one. What else was there? Sumo was in there. Ju Kendo was in there. Probably some others as well. And essentially, you had people like the budoka, like myself at the time at least, representing on that side. Who were like active budoka, and then you had people who were like teachers, senseis, and then you had people from the respective federations as well. And there's a collection of like lectures and like training sessions and then experience classes. So what you have to do is, I think you had to experience, you participated in, I think, 2 of the training sessions for your own budo, and then you had to, I think it was 2 on each day, you had to choose a budo that you didn't do and experience it. All right. And then there was some lectures as well, which were really, really interesting. Karate was part of it as well, actually. Karate was really interesting. I quite enjoyed the lecture on that, and the one on judo too. And essentially, I chose, was it two or three? I think it was 3. Because I think what I did was I tried Naginata, and I tried Ju Kendo, and I tried Kyudo. And essentially, I tried to keep it as close to Kendo as I possibly could. Because look, I'm not gonna pretend. All right, I'm only interested in Kendo, right? So I kind of went to this seminar not knowing so much what it was, and I kind of went because a very dear friend of me invited me to go there. I'm not going to name drop them, but they were involved in organizing it. So, that was the main reason behind me going. It's not because I really wanted to try all these different budo. I'm not that interested. I'm only really interested in Kendo, so I always have been. So blame me. I know it. I know you. I know some of you love it, especially when I start dissing EI and stuff like that. I don't diss EI. I just say this. Anyway, it doesn't help you do Kendo. That's all I said. That's all I've said. Actually, let's clear that up as well before someone takes that and runs with it. All I said is it doesn't help you with Kendo. In fact, I think, especially in beginners, it can be a detriment. Anyway, so I tried Naginata, I tried Ju Kendo, and I tried Kyudo. They're the only times in my entire life I've ever experienced those martial arts, and I never did so again. Okay, up to this point. Nothing wrong with them if they're your thing, but they're not my thing, so I never touched them ever again. Now, you asked me about my Kyudo experience. It was probably my favorite of the 3 that I tried, but it isn't something I think I'll go back to either. It just isn't for me. I understand more about it having done it, having experienced that 1 sort of hour session. I wouldn't say I understand the budo at all, but I can understand, a little bit more about the kind of, a little bit more about what it is about, especially sort of, doing Kendo. I think people often misunderstand what Kendo is in the beginning. I think it's very easy to do that with Kyudo and some of the other arts as well. Essentially, so I went there, picked out a bow, all that sort of thing. Someone helped me do that. It's cool. Majority of the lesson was like doing like is it Deiho still? I don't know if it's still Deiho, but basically walking from one part of the dojo to the part where you actually shoot the arrows, and then learning how to put the bow and the arrow together and then draw the bow. Didn't fire many arrows. I think I fired 3. I think fire is a very kind way of describing what I did with the arrows. I sort of skittered them across the floor. It was like, that's what's kind of funny about it for me. It was like, I kind of spent all this time doing all this, and I just spent 10 minutes walking to the part where I actually shoot the arrow, and then I got the thing like this, and then really, really slowly, really concentrating like this, and I'm going like this as well because I'm rubbish, and I'm and then I let go, release the arrow, and it just goes like that across the gravel. I think I did that 3 times. So, so yeah, my experience of Kyudo is that I'm certainly not naturally talented at it. Um, it was a great experience to go and do it. And I'd encourage anyone who gets the chance to try it. You might find something in it that speaks to you. Wasn't particularly for me. And it's not that like I'd never do it again, but like my thing with Budo, right, and other Budo and stuff like that, because obviously, you know, there's when you do Kendo, there's, you know, I know there's a lot of people that benefit a lot from also practicing other Budo on a sort of individual level. You know, there's a lot of people that do Kendo and Naginata, for example, or Kendo and Iaido or something, for example. But like my issue has always been like I'm so sort of into Kendo that if I'm going to take 2 hours out of my time to go and practice Iaido, Naginata, Kyudo, Judo, Karate, I'd rather just put that 2 hours back into Kendo, which is my sort of way of looking at it. I guess that's part of my personality, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but like I'm sort of obsessed with Kendo, so yeah, I'm not, I don't feel that for other stuff. And maybe if I gave it the time, maybe I would, but I always feel like if I did that, then I'd be taken away from my Kendo, and I can't tolerate that. You know. So there you go. That's my Kyudo experience. I was rubbish at it. Tried it for a bit. It was a fun little, not little. It was a big. The seminar was great. That was really, really interesting. I met loads of really cool people, as well. From other Budo. I had some really interesting conversations with different people. I had really great experience overall. I heard some great lectures, really interesting stuff about Judo, the formation of Judo, how it started up, stuff like that. It was really, really cool. Like the president of the All Japan Judo Federation was there, who gave this lecture. So, you know, you're getting like, it's not like somebody's idea or opinion. It's like coming from the federation, which is kind of cool. So there we go. Right. Hello, Andy. How are you? I am great. How is everything? It's brilliant. I hope you and your family are well. Yep. The question is, I bring you today might be a bit absurd or weird. Great. But I still want to ask. Let's go for it. So here it goes. How do you take care of your door? Oh, I was kind of expecting something more wacky. Specifically the door die. Because after so much intense practice, we're struck there so many times, it leaves marks on the door die. Is there a way to preserve the door in order to take care of at least the light marks on the door itself? Or to disguise it at least? What can be done to solve the issue? Thank you so much for everything, your video, feedback, Kendo RANT, and to always answer all the questions we posted. No problem at all. So, there's not a massive amount you can do. The door die gets battered up. It does. It's a fact of life. All right? You can give it a sort of a polish and a rub with like a dry cloth. That helps. It can do, you know, with some really light scratches. I've had a little bit of success using some like car polish, actually, but I don't tend to do it because I just accept the fact that my door's going to get beat up. If you've got like a really nice expensive urushi door, you know, like a bamboo door that was like really expensive, like, and it's like got a, you know, expensive finish on it, the best thing to do is just have another door. I know it sounds a bit, you know, but like have a cheaper, just a plain black one would be fine, like door that you just use for practice, and then save your nice door for your sort of special occasions or your cake or whatever, jigake or whatever, and use the one you don't mind getting beat up in that. But there's not a lot else you can do, to be honest, so embrace it. Okay, next one. Fantastic video, Andy Sensei. I have my questions as well. First is, how do you win an Aimen? Because when I read my opponent's moves and know what he's going for, when he's going for my men, I usually try to hit men as well, but I lost in that exchange. Do you have any suggestions how to strike Aimen? Secondly, I want to know how to do semi. Because when I spar with my senpai in the dojo, a bit of contact, he's second dan and Jordan guy. He told me that I don't make him afraid, so he wants me to up the pressure. How do I do semi into my opponent? Okay. All right. So yeah, look, they're big questions. They're big questions, right? I don't know what level you're at the minute. All right, but if you're like below Shodan, then I'll get to that in a minute. Look, how to win Aimen is you have to move before the other person moves. You can't move at the same time or go, oh, they're moving now, move. Of course, you'll be late. So you have to develop a situation where when you go to hit men, their response is to hit men. That's very, very difficult. All right, it takes years and years of practice. If you're doing the Aimen practice, like you've already agreed with your partner, for example, you're doing the Aimen practice, then try to move before they do. You should be able to do that because you can anticipate when they're going to strike, hopefully. But if it's like in your Jigeko or something like that, you know, if you're like less than, I mean, realistically, if you're below 4th Dan, and I'm being generous by saying 4th Dan, but if you're below 4th Dan, it's like 90% luck. Aimen, to be honest. So don't worry about it too much. You'll get there with more experience. And the answer is sort of similar when it comes to how to do semi. There's no answer to how to do semi, all right? Because it depends, right? Your senpai is right in that what doing semi is making the other person afraid they're going to be hit, but you're not going to be able to do that on someone that's a lot more experienced than you. Of course not, right? So you have to gain more experience. You have to increase your ability, and then you have to get your kendo to a point where it represents a credible threat to the other person. Once you get to that, then your opponents are going to start to feel, oh, okay, I've got to be a bit more careful. I've got to respect this person's kendo, and you're going to have more success in the way that you approach the opponent and how that affects how they respond to you, and therein that becomes semi. All right, but it's not a case of like, oh, here's how to do semi, bam, and there you go. You know, it doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. It'd be great if it did, but it doesn't. So the answer to your question is keep practicing, keep doing what you're doing, keep developing your ability, keep gaining experience, and in years down the line, you'll be able to understand these things. All right. Now, that's not the answer you want, I know, and that's not the answer I'd like to give, being a sort of internet Q&A show. But the fact is that's the way it is with these sort of things, unfortunately. All right. Let's keep going. Next one. Okay, apologies in advance if this topic has been covered or beaten to death. So I've seen people place a shinai against the wall where either the tip is on the ground or the handle is on the ground, and I've heard various reasons for it. But bokken, how often have you seen people put bokken against the wall, tip down? Okay, so what you're talking about is like leaning the shinai against the wall, right? Now, the correct way to do that is, it should be the handle down. You shouldn't really put the tip on the floor. It's not really good. In general, you shouldn't put the tip of the shinai on the floor. In general. Obviously, when you do seiza and stuff, you do, but like you shouldn't generally put the tip of the shinai on the floor. Like you shouldn't rest on the shinai like that. You shouldn't do that. You might get bits of fluff or dirt or something on there, and then that could go in your partner's eyes. It's not the way you should handle a sword. But yeah, I mean, if you go to Japan, that's not particularly well known. Lots of people don't care about it, so you'll see it either way. So yeah, having said that, a bokken, I've never seen somebody try and put the bokken against the wall with the tip down, because like it logically wouldn't really work, right? I mean, it could work, but you're less likely to balance it, right? Because you've got the kensaki is shaped like that, right? The shinai has got the sakigawa, so you can easily like stand the shinai on the sakigawa. But you can't really do it with a bokken, right? It's gonna slip. So you don't see it so often. And you shouldn't do it. Right? You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't really lean the bokken against the wall. You shouldn't really lean the shinai against the wall if you can help it. But sometimes it's unavoidable, especially if you don't have much space. We don't really want to do it with the bokken though. It's gonna fall over and make a massive noise, isn't it? So yeah. Next one, hi Andy, love your rants. Thank you. Question. Are there new rules about putting away the tenuguri? We put our tenuguri on top of our men during a pause, and when essays are starting lessons, please advise. No, there's no rule. There's no rules about putting on the tenigiri or putting away the tenigiri in the first place. There's no rules surrounding that. There's sort of standard practice. The two main ways are, after you take off the tenigiri, either drape it across the men on top like that, or fold it up neatly and put it inside. They're the two main ways, and each different dojo or teacher tends to have a different style or way of doing it. I think generally drape it across at the beginning of practice, and then after I finish, when the tenigiri is all sweaty and gross, and then generally fold it up and put it inside. Is generally the way I do it, but it's, you know, different places, you know, do different things. So there's no rules on it. There's no rules on it. Just follow what the dojo that you're doing or doing kendo at does. All right. There isn't a right or wrong way necessarily. Okay, last one. It's been a short episode today. Any words of wisdom going for first Q grading this weekend? I'm super excited. Good. Yeah. Do Fumikomi, you'll pass the Jitsugi part, all right? Do Kirikaishi with Fumikomi and do your Jitsugi, your keikos with Fumikomi, all right? If you can hit with a sort of decent attempt at Fumikomi, you've got no problem whatsoever, all right? You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to do anything flashy, all right? But try to hit with Fumikomi and you'll be fine. Then don't mess up the kata. All right, don't mess up the kata. Okay. It's great that you're excited. Try not to be too nervous. Everyone's going to be nervous there on the day. I was so nervous for my IQ exam. I didn't sleep the night before. I think I was more nervous for my IQ exam than I was for my Rokudan exam. Like, it is the one you get most nervous for because it's the first proper one. But don't worry about it, all right? Just go and do your best. I'm sure you'll do great, okay? Just make sure you're doing Fumikomi, all right? And if on the unfortunate event that you don't manage to pass, go and find out why and take the advice on board and do it, okay? But I'm sure, you know, if you don't pass, the reason is because you're not doing Fumikomi with Kikentai no Ichi, frankly. That's generally the reason. I can't think of any other reason you would fail unless you did something crazy. Yeah? So, yeah, that's about it. Okay, there we go. We've reached the end of the questions. Thank you very much, everyone, for sending them in. Have a fantastic weekend filled with Kendo, I hope. Don't forget to shop at KendoStar. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.